I bought mine and put it away. Okay.
Stand by for y'all. Whenever the mayor's ready.
We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. This special call meeting, the purpose of tonight's meeting is just to add another meeting about our upcoming town budget for the this coming year, and give citizens opportunity to have input. So we're going to take a little additional time tonight instead of our regular 3 minutes when we do the public comments. And the public comments, if you would please just aim them on the budget tonight. But we're going to do 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes just for tonight to try to be able to hear from as many as you all, and you won't be as rushed, and we'll be able to take some time. And then we also put a time in to be able to have a budget discussion following the public comments, and we may engage in some back and forth with that as well, if we can do that. So we just really appreciate everyone being here. We're glad to have this opportunity to come together. So with that said, we'll call our meeting to order. I'll call on Mayor Pro Tem Devaney, if she would, to do our invocation.
If you'll please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, as you watch over us tonight, we ask that you grant us all patience, kindness, understanding, and respect for one another. God, may we keep you in the forefront of everything that we do and say. God, we ask you for guidance as we make decisions over the next few weeks. God, we thank you for all that you do and have done for us. We are blessed. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. If you would, please let's stand and say our pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And by way of our introductions, we'll do our introductions now. We do have a couple members that are either sick or away with work, so we'll allow them to introduce themselves first. But Mr. Rollins, we'll start with you.
Yes, Twig Rollins, Town Manager.
John Doggett.
Lynn Williams Devaney.
Tim Sessoms.
Janelle Robinson.
Leo Rucker.
Jeff Bacon.
Gentlemen.
Jonathan Hamilton.
Heath Clay.
Thank you. Jeff, are we, is
We're alive? Both are
yeah, so I want to say a word of appreciation to our town manager, to Mr. Rollins, also Jeff Bacon. We've had a lot of equipment problems with our Facebook and with our ability to share the meeting, and it's part of what's in our budget for this coming years to get some even better equipment that we've had in the past. And so we're trying to piecemeal to get into the new budget to get the good stuff. But these guys worked really hard the last couple of days and got this working, so we really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is our agenda approval. it's really kind of a formality because we have members who are not present, so we couldn't add or take from the agenda, because you have to have everybody present to do it. But would someone like to make a motion that we accept our agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that we accept the agenda as presented.
Have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So it's unanimous. So item number 5, if I just have 2 here, if anyone would like to speak on the budget, if you just grab a sheet and fill that out, we'd be happy to entertain. You have an opportunity to speak. And again, when you come up, if you just give us your name, your address, and after that, your 5 minutes will start. And if you would speak to the budget, we greatly appreciate it. So that said, I'll call on the first person I have, Teresa Perry.
Teresa Perryman, 7401 Green Lawn Drive. I do not see that we're limited to 5 minutes on the agenda, but however, there's a couple things on here. I've been to the budget meetings, and I've even been to the special call budget meetings, and some of this stuff that I'm hearing is definitely, it's way out of proportion. To double our citizens' taxes for nothing that I see really we're getting any services out of. Now I did hear for the first time Monday night that they went from $20,000 to $60,000 for signs. That's just the 17,000, the DOT breakaway signs, welcome to Summerfield. They need to put them back up. I think DOT should do that. And that way, as far as I know, it should not be no cost to us since they took it down. On the rental on Bunch Road,
I'm sorry, the what?
rental on Bunch Road, I do have a question about it. I will not mention names, however, I do question that because I do have the name here. However, if he's been renting for several years, I would like to know why he is registered on Spitzer-Dixon Road. That I have a problem with. And he voted in the 2024 election. So not sure if we're doing background checks on our rental people. Also, the lights, I really don't want to see them down Summerfield Road. It's just, I mean, you've already upset the people with the water, with the trail, and y'all know how I feel about the trail. It's just a waste of money. It's not going to save our town. If people really want it, I think you need to set it to where you're not really going to irritate people. I'd rather lose $750,000 than to make millions and just upset everybody. Now what I understood, it was going to be installed at intersections. That I can understand on some intersections where it is dark per se, like Lake Brant and 150 and Lake Brant and Scalesville. And the contract with the sheriff, y'all really need to look into this. Town of Stokesdale did that for 1 year. And my understanding, which y'all could call Stokesdale and verify this, is they did not do it the next year because Guilford County decided they were going to do the contract. And in that contract, it said this contract cannot be voided. So once you went into that contract, you could not break it. And I don't think you want to go into a contract that you cannot break. That just does not make sense to me. Again, the water tower, that really is not for, y'all can say fire suppression, but we already pay taxes to Summerfield Fire Department. We already pay taxes to Guilford County to protect us from fire. We have contracts with these people, or they have contracts with us. Why am I being charged another tax for this? That's 3 times I'm going to be taxed for the same fire protection. And I think, the schedule fees. My understanding you want to do for it just for the schools that are in the town Summerfield limits. To me, that kind of sounds like, hey, I'm doing you a favor. I think that someone should be excused from the vote for that, because she is getting paychecks from that, so she shouldn't be excused from the voting. And if you're going to do it for one nonprofit, you should do it for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Steve Satterfield.
Steve Satterfield, 7620 Summerfield Road. I'm just here tonight to ask y'all to consider making some reductions in your 25-26 presented budget so that the revenues match the expenditures and we quit taking money from our fund balance. I'm okay if you need to raise the tax rate for operating expenses, but with the final price on the EMY Trail, Bandera Farms not yet determined, and then hearing Monday night at the finance meeting that water was 7.7, 2.2 over the ARCA funding. These projects are being paid for out of the fund balance, and we need to stop robbing the fund balance to make neutral our operating budget. For years, this has been the trend of the town. It needs to stop. This budget process this year has been kind of lacking and last minute. I understand about the House Bill 801, but it's very last minute. One of the things in 801, the fourth thing in there that they're asking this legislative committee to do, in addition to reviewing the towns and the services they're providing, is to review the statutory criteria for incorporation of a town and determine if changes are needed. So that will have to be voted on by the legislature, put into law, and then the criteria or the services we have to provide potentially can change. So the 3 that y'all are looking to implement may be null and void, and we may be spending money for no reason. My opinion on the new services is that they paint the town in a more negative light because it looks like we have chosen the cheapest and easiest to implement without any consideration of essential services. Some things that came up in the budget. $30,000 for strategic plan funding. Is that not something that staff and the council can do, a strategic plan to move the town ahead? The lights, I'm okay for public safety, you're putting in more lights, but are we going to continue and do every intersection in Summerfield, and is it going to continue to cost money, or is this just going to put in a few to appease the legislature in Raleigh? The public safety contract I want to do with the sheriff's office, we're spending $50,000. What are we getting for that $50,000? Can someone please explain that to us? Comprehensive plan update, there's $54,000 in that plan. Is that not something we can reduce? Do we really need a consultant to go over that document with us? It's an existing document. Y'all can amend it, reduce things, add things. I think that is something that council and staff should be doing instead of hiring all these consultants. The CIP for this year had $85,000 in the budget for resurfacing the asphalt out here where the tree roots are causing it to break up. Did we ever get that done? Some things that are red flags or things that popped out to me under detailed administration and operating expenditures in training and education. We budgeted $15,000 for the next year. We only spent $47,1065 this past year. So that's almost $10,000, that's over $10,000 difference. Per diem and travel, we budgeted $17,500. Last year, we only spent a total of $35,665. So those numbers look a little bit out of balance. Then the other two that stand out to me are under detailed property and building expenditures, repairs, maintenance, and contracts. Proposed budget $42,000. Previous budget was $14,000. The past year, to date, 5/20/25, we only spent $12,000. That's $30,000 difference in the budget. And then also under heating and utility supplies, $42,000 is budgeted. We only spent $92,6432 last year, and last year the budget was $13,000 for that. So that's a $29,000 increase. What are we heating to use $29,000 more? So just for y'all's consideration to look into trimming this thing down and not robbing the fund balance for that $57,000 to balance it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. Gail Dunham?
Thank you. That was excellent. Gail Dunham, 5805 Snow Hill Drive. I have lots to say, but you don't care. I remember when the first thing Linda Devaney did when you were elected was to eliminate any public comments. You immediately cut public comments from 5 minutes to 3 months, and it's 3 minutes, and it's only once a month. We used to be able to make a 5-minute comment any meeting during the budget cycle, and we're not able. We have no. So you've had no input until now.
Please limit your comments to the budget.
I am. This is about the budget. You don't allow any. At that time, we had 5 minutes at each meeting during budget season where we could make comments in the process. That's all eliminated. You've eliminated any democracy from this project. There's a ton of problems here. It's bloated. The page 3, I'm sorry. I don't think there's a word of truth on page 3. You're saying this is what everybody wants. Maybe they don't want it. I'd like to request the update on your on the grants, the new initiatives. You had all this stuff here. You had no price tags on any of it. I actually think this is actually the worst budget that I have seen in the 22 years that I have lived here, and nothing's been thought out ahead of time. One of the things, eliminate the signs. We've been talking about signs for 12 years. You said originally in the sign contest that the citizens would be able to vote. You took that away, and you just chose something on your own. I think there's more important things. You've got 3 capital projects. You haven't defined them. You haven't told us a cost or where the money is coming from, what you're doing, when the bulldozers are going to arrive. Twig is telling us, boy, we're going to have bulldozers there in August, right? You're going to approve this next Tuesday. You will have no town meeting till August and no opportunity to ask questions at all or even make those measly little 3-minute comments. The budget's very, very out of control. But those 3 projects, Bandera was always most important. It was the one the town wanted. It was the best plan. But then, Linda Devaney was very big. You wanted to kind of delay that. And every week we hear Twig, we're more value engineering. We're cutting funds up. We're cutting all the spending out of Bandera. That's what people want. Your page 3, there is no groundswell of support for you to commingle existing wells to build a water tower on a $10 million piece of property, and you're using Freeze and Nichols. Freeze and Nichols made $1 million mistake with a sidewalk out of the tunnel. They are not equipped to do that, but nope, that's what you want. You approved February, I think, 24th last year. You approved a contract for $575,000 with Freeze and Nichols. That's been amended. You never voted on it. You are all legally responsible for this. So you're told, Quig, just go ahead, blow the money. But there's none of that. And I want to talk about the rentals on the house at Bandera. $1,500 to $2,000 a month would be a fair price. At the time when you rented it for $500, $600 a month. We've also, during the last 3 years, that means we probably lost $50,000. But you had said at the time it was someone in need. I'm sorry, the salary is public record and open the books, and there's other factors out there. It isn't someone in need. But maybe the taxpayers are in need. Maybe they want fiscal responsibility with every single line. In the original draft budget, Twig had put in there a 1%, a holiday of the total gross pay, a holiday bonus. I don't know if that might still be in here, under what line item, but you never approved the increase in this contract, and to put in this 1% holiday bonus, I thought that was in poor taste. There's no breakdown on these grants. The pages, and the new initiatives, this page, this should have some numbers. And the money on the grant funding, the NCDOT, you've got 3.2 million, don't know where that's coming from. These grants are really important. They're a big part of this $11 million that you plan to spend. What are those grants supposed to cover? When are you going to receive them? And the water tower, I'm totally opposed. You're going to commingle and destroy my well. It's a tremendous liability. The other thing, Twit said, no problem, we'll borrow money. You can't borrow, the town cannot borrow money because you have no collateral. The banks will not accept a ball field for collateral. But he's up there, no problem, we can just borrow money. This is in 3 minutes, and you won't answer one question. And this is taxpayer money.
Beth Kaplan.
Beth Kaplan, 7979 Highfield Road. I just have a couple of concerns. One is there's just a line item for COLA. If we're talking about COLA after employees have worked a year, I probably would be okay with it. But the other problem I have with the COLA is, what are the taxes that we're going to pay on it? What's going to go into retirement? What's the cost of the COLA? There's no cost to COLA. The other problem that I have with the services is with our hiring the sheriff or whatever. I already pay taxes to have a sheriff, and they're right downtown. I pay county taxes for that. I pay a fire tax for the fire department. So I have trouble with that. I have trouble. I guess lights would be okay depending on where they went, and as long as they applied to dark skies, I guess I could get over that. I feel like that we are saying we weren't a paper town, but now we might be a paper town, but we're going to show everybody why we aren't a paper town. The other problem is, like Gail, I'm having trouble adding up what our grants are to what we're spending. The water seems to be off, that kind of stuff. So there are just concerns there. Thank you.
Okay, we thank you all for your comments, your well thought out comments and input on the budget. So we set aside a time here and to do a budget discussion. Mr. Manager, I wrote down some questions, and I don't ever like to put somebody on the spot, but I think you're prepared. So can you Mr. Satterfield's question on the public safety, can you tell us what the things are that's articulated that we're talking about receiving for that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, if you'll oblige me to. So the public safety contract, we intentionally named it the public safety contract because we are pursuing an agreement with Guilford County Sheriff's Department to provide a community policing program and have a contract with the Sheriff's Department. If we have that contract, it will count for a service to count as one of the 4 services that is the board's goal to have to comply with the anticipated outcome of 801. If we do not get the Sheriff's Department, we have also had discussions with the Fire Department Chief about possibly funding a fire truck through debt service. So we're talking with both agencies. We're not guaranteed the sheriff's going to want to do one, the county's going to do one. So we have talked to the fire chief and had discussions with him, And so that's why we called it 50,000, put 50,000 in the budget to pursue that contract for this year.
Okay, and can you give us at least a 20,000-foot view on the community park and the status and kind of where we're at with that?
This part?
Yes,
Um,
with the trails in the park and
Oh, the
Basically,
resurfacing asphalt, yes, Rob.
the paving, we did not put anything in the paving. We have surveyed the trails right now. They're not in dire need to be repaved. In keeping with Mr. Satterfield's comments and the finance committee, I see one of the finance committee members here is trying to get the budget down to a balanced budget. We have for a long time dipped into fund balance every year, and we're trying to lessen that amount to the least amount possible to have a balanced budget so revenues equal operating expenses.
thanks, sir. Any other points of interest, conversation from the council?
I definitely have a couple, but, there you go. Steve, I really liked your questions, that they were specific and they're things that we can get you answers on. I hear you on, so I wrote down like a whole bunch of them that you said. I hear you on the essential services and seeming like we're going cheapest and easiest, and it hasn't been an easy decision, and we've gone back and forth and back and forth, and we're still going back and forth. Like, we're still talking about it, and it's deep, and there's a lot to consider, and we're trying to work our way through that. The strategic plan, it would seem really simple until three of us went to a 3-day conference just about strategic plans, and it is not as simple as it would seem. And I think it would be great to do it in-house. I just don't know if that's really realistic, because it is more complicated than I would have even thought. I mean, we spent 3 days just learning about it. So maybe it would depend on how simple the strategic plan is and how detailed it is and what all it entailed. But that's definitely something to consider, is of how much we're spending on it, and do we need to spend that much. The lights we've talked about. We've talked about putting them on Summerfield Road at intersections because of the A and Y. So it would be along the A and Y at intersections. So it would be for safety for the pedestrians and bikers, like in the winter when it is dark at 5:30, so that as they cross intersections. And also, of course, they would totally be dark sky compliant. We would follow our lighting ordinances for sure. We all, especially Twig, he is aware of the rules and has full intentions of following them. But even the A and Y of the parking lots, where Summerfield Road comes out at 220, there is a pole there, power pole, but I don't think there's a light on it. And the other parking lot will be at the Bark Park, and there are no lights out there. So I think lights we definitely need in the parking lot. If you look at Oak Ridge, they have the smash and grab problems. So some lights in that parking lot, which is completely dark right now, with maybe security cameras on them, would help with safety. So the lights, I think we need along the greenway for safety. Parking lots and intersections is what we're looking at in those areas.
So could the A and Y lights could be in the A and Y budget money? What you're spending on that, then the other money you're looking to spend lights, you could increase where you.
I will write that down, and I will look at the A and Y budget, and if it could be included in that. That's a great thought.
Does the trail close at dark?
The trails are supposed to close at dark, just like the park. So hopefully no one's out, but people do get caught in.
The CIP, looking at that, the training. Originally, when I first looked at it, I thought, wow, that's more than usual. But then I thought about and asked the manager about it. We have a lot of new staff. And we have a lot of new staff and a lot of training for council and boards and committees that need to happen. Some of them we've been asking for years and haven't happened. So hopefully this year we're actually going to get some training for boards. We are getting training for boards. They're already scheduled and on the calendar. And I think that is a budget item well spent to get everyone
There's no
to
training for
know.
the Board of Adjustments. There's no training budget for the Board of Adjustments.
Okay. But we have a lot of new staff that need to get up to date. We need to train them on things. I'll look at the repairs, that heating number, I'll look and see, unless you know off the top of your head what they are, that's something we can definitely look into and,
Yes, ma'am, I do. That is
Oh,
the
okay.
heating and electrical for every facility that we have. This facility, all the lights here, all the lights at the ball field, town hall, the Gordon House, where the Parks and Rec maintenance office is, our maintenance shops, it's everything that we pay electricity on. We just put it all in one line item. this year.
did those charges go up from last year?
I cannot answer that right off, but the big spender is the lights at the ball field, because they're on. We're renting the ball field more. It's booked every weekend unless it's raining, so the lights are on longer at night. And so we're actually looking at getting some LED replacements out there. But that particular line item is all facilities.
Okay. And the repairs, the 30,000 in repairs that you talked about, do you know what that's for?
That's an emergency, it's basically an emergency line item for all town buildings and everything. So we have to go buy materials, or it exceeds our skill set, such as we have to hire an electrician or an HVAC or something like that beyond the skill set of the maintenance people.
Okay. So I'll definitely, Steve, be going back over your numbers and looking into all those things. Thank you for giving us specific things to look at so that we have things we can take back to the finance committee, the manager, the finance officer, and look into those details. That was thank you for doing that. The COLA, cost of COLA, we'll look into that. That's a good one to look into, and unless you know off the top of your head, I'm assuming you don't, but you guys need to look into that. We'll look into that and see.
It's approximately $50,000 for all employees, including the ancillary taxes and stuff.
Okay.
What was the percentage on that COLA?
3%.
I think that's it. That's what I had. Do you feel like there are any other questions that we didn't, that we can answer that didn't
I
get
realize
answered?
I'm out of line, but may I ask a question?
Sure.
I understood that one of the services that the town was looking at was taking over the billing for the trash service. And will that entail another employee? And what service am I gonna get from the town doing the billing?
That's not really how that is, so I'll ask the manager,
Okay.
so I won't mess up the answer.
So we are looking to bring, first of all, we're rebidding the solid waste collection contract this summer. And if a new carrier gets it, doesn't matter who gets it, whoever gets it, we're going to bring the billing in-house. No, we're not going to add any employees. We feel like we have the staff to do that because it'll be once a quarter bill. And we're going to offer the option to pay it yearly. So no, there won't be any additional bodies. And so what we'll do is we'll collect the money for the trash, whoever gets the trash bid winner is, and we'll pay them directly. And that will also help us qualify for another service according to House Bill 801.
And we're hoping that it's possible the trash bill will actually go down because they won't have to charge as much because they're not doing the billing.
It will definitely go down. How much, we don't know. I've already had those discussions with a couple of potential bidders. I had a company in my office yesterday. So it will definitely go down as far as that, how much. It depends on how much they go down. We're feeling like very conservatively we can do $20,000 a year. That's what's in the budget to do that collection of trash townwide. That includes the postage and envelopes and using our staff.
Ms. Perry?
I just have one question on the trash toss. Someone asked me about it. I didn't know the answer. Is that going to be a mandatory, every household has to have trash? Say like for instance, I don't have trash pickup. Are you going to bill me?
No, ma'am. It's going to be a user. If you want the service, you pay the bill,
Okay,
basically.
thank you.
Will you be able to, will the town be able to take online payments?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
hope so.
One of the things in the new initiatives is to upgrade our website. We need to do a lot so it's more intuitive and user-friendly and you can find things easier. One of the things is in the top right corner, well, pay bill. Whether it's a rental on this or it's your trash, you'll be able to pay it And we're gonna offer an option to pay quarterly or annually is the plan.
And I've asked, may I just interject something on
Yes,
that? I even asked if there was a way that you can do an app on your phone to pay, because I know a lot of customers are using that service now. So I think that's gonna be looked into as well to make it easy.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, suggestion, I have no opposition to garbage pickup, trash pickup. I know that if you go to the 5-cent rate, you're gonna be increasing our budget, I think, or our taxes about 80% over what it was last year. Why not?
Wait, what? No.
It'll go,
Two separate things. Go ahead.
well, the manager told you last month, that we didn't increase taxes for the last 10 years. We did, that's not true. We increased it by 20% in 2022. I got
No.
That's the count.
we increased, like, if you don't count increased taxes because our valuation goes up, I count that as taxes.
Okay, but we did not increase the tax
But you
rate.
didn't lower it, you did not lower the tax rate to reflect that, neither did the count.
Okay, but we didn't raise the tax rate.
But you got 20%
Let him
increase.
finish.
Okay.
Let him finish.
Why not, and you're gonna increase it from 0.275 to 5. That works out to about what, an 75% increase?
Yep.
80% increase? Why not, instead of going through this malarkey of billing everybody every month, why not include the cost of the garbage in our taxes? So you pay, the town pays it, and we don't bill everybody for it.
We considered that.
Why don't you do that? Have you got a plan on how you're going to deal with somebody who doesn't pay their bill? I don't know if you do. Maybe you do.
We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is most
That's great
towns,
input. That's great input, and it's one of the things that's in the conversations that we've been talking.
I don't know how much it would cost, but clearly you're going to be collecting more revenue. No question about it. And then when we go through, I think next year we're going to have a reassessment.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, I think Scott, you were setting like in February, maybe 30% increase in valuation. I know you're not going to lower the tax rate because you want to maintain it at 5 cents, right? So you're going to have another 15, 20, 25%, 30% increase in taxes. So you ought to find a way to do that and stop building bureaucracy to have these billings and whatever. It's not cheap. I mean, sending out, I don't know, you got 2,000 4 times a year, the postage is not insignificant.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Ms. Dunn, do you have a question?
Yeah, about the trash, sometimes if something ain't broke, don't fix it. What we've got now is working, and if you take this on, you're gonna be the bill collector. If you're talking about managing these bills, you're gonna be the bill collector, and I bet you have to hire 1 employee. I remember at times when we had problems with the trash, and we did need almost another employee. So, and I don't know why the town is, and if you contract to do the whole town, it's going to be a whole lot more expensive for people. Another comment about the legal fees, I think, looking for line items, the legal fees seem much too low. I don't know why you think the lawyers are going to be what they were 5 years ago. You're hired more. Doesn't seem to be anything in here about the consultants. And you're redoing these projects, but what I saw in those contracts was there was no citizen participation. The contracts were very specific about the meetings. So I'd just like to have some communication. We're obviously paying for this. I think we should have communication, and I think there should be citizen participation. But the line item on the legal fees seemed low. On the lights, I was looking at what our homeowner association pays, and I think there's different ways of doing this. But the lights are also going to be a heavy maintenance item, and you said you're going to have employees do all of this. I think you've got to really think about employees doing all this manual labor, and you expect them to do the light poles. I think you're going to have to call Duke.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Doggett, Mr. Vane?
I'll talk about the trash some more too. I mean, we have considered if we use the tax money, the increase in taxes to pay the trash bill. And when we've done the math, that we would have to raise taxes 5 to 7% alone just to cover the trash.
5 to 7%, 5 to 7 cents.
5 to 7%.
And this
No, but also,
Cents.
Cents, it's not 5%.
Yeah, we're looking at raising taxes
High.
2.25%, but we would have to raise it
Which is
5
about
to
a
7.
Which is about a 75% increase.
way more than what we're going to, like almost 3 times as much as we're going to.
But in the final analysis, it's a wash, because we're paying for it one way or another,
Yes,
right?
but we would have to raise taxes a lot more than we're going to.
Okay, but still, if I'm paying $200 a year for trash, something like that, I don't know what it is.
72 every 3 months.
I'd rather pay that in my taxes. And if you itemize your taxes, you might be able to deduct even from your federal taxes.
It's just gonna look good on paper, Dick, that's all it's gonna
I'm
do.
sorry?
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna look good on paper.
But so just know that we did consider that, and we're looking at the numbers, and actually even had a spreadsheet of trash alone. We met with Stokesdale and how they do it, and Lynn and I did a spreadsheet of how they do it and how much it would cost if we raised taxes and paid it directly ourselves, so you guys didn't have trash bills.
We
So
would need 6 cents.
I'm sorry?
We would need 6 cents.
additional,
Can do it.
6 extra additional cents. Yeah.
It's a wash.
But then we still need to come up with 2 more services to provide, so how are you gonna pay for that?
But
Because-
you,
So just know, like, we're considering these things, and we did consider that. And we still would need to fund 2 more services. And we're also definitely considering, if we're gonna raise taxes and provide services, making sure those services bring something to the citizens. We're not just saying we're gonna provide this service, but it really doesn't give them anything extra. That does matter, so, we are considering that as well.
What are we getting?
Just,
Excuse me.
yeah.
You're getting lights and safety along the A and Y.
You all have anything you guys want?
The only thing I was gonna talk about was that, somebody made mention of the Board of Adjustments having no training, but I think we talked about the $10,000, and the planning board is also for the Board of Adjustments as well. So there is some training for the Board of
Yes, sir.
Adjustments.
So that's the planning board, the board of adjustments, and the planner.
Yeah.
Sorry, those were in that training section.
Great,
Can I make one comment, just one quick comment?
yes.
Most important thing is, we're not required to do this for 801. It's optional because we were incorporated before the cutoff date. So one option would be a different approach, where you look at what you've accomplished, and you say, fine, we let the trash company do it because they had better services, things like that. I don't think this is the goal, is to grow government. I think they're looking at what you're doing with the funds, but we do not have to do this. I think you have to say that again and again. We're not required to do this.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the council?
Per the law, if you want.
Anything else?
No.
Mr. Manager, is anything you'd like to discuss or read up on the budget?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I was still talking to Pam about the services, and she said, what services are you offering? And I realized that's a very valid concern, that making sure if we raise taxes, we give services in return for that raise. So we're working on that.
I just feel like that we've already got these things, and a lot of us would like to see things that are really significant. For instance, when Gail was mayor, I mentioned to her about sidewalks. I thought she was gonna have a fit. Absolutely not. But look at those nice sidewalks in Oak Ridge. That is really nice, and Oak Ridge looks like it's developing into a really pleasant little town. And here we're scrambling around trying to prove to the legislature that you're providing services for us. You're not providing anything for us.
And you value engineer our projects that we already have set up to go, Van Deer and everything, we value engineer them, but we're spending money this way. I just don't get it. Just don't get it.
I asked the finance officer, please, would you give me a total on the legal fees that have been spent since December of '23? And that's when Jonathan, Lynn, and Keith took office, you all had managed to spend $500,000. $500,000. And what have we got? We lost part of that town.
Okay,
So
we're getting a little bit, thank you, Pam, we're getting a little off track, so,
Exactly.
any other discussion from the council on the budget?
Can I
Sure.
make a comment? 801 was just made to look into these quote paper towns. Now, my question is, I mean, we are doing what we are required to do back in 1996, is one service. We are doing what they require of us right now. So we're not sure, other than that part 2 in that 801 bill, which I'm sure y'all have all looked at, if, like Mr. Summerfield said, if they decide to make changes or whatever, and y'all do go ahead and pass this budget, what's going to happen if the House decides they're not going to do anything? What's going to happen then?
Are any of these things reversible?
That's what I'm asking you.
Could we not go back and lower the tax rate again? If they said, okay, because you were grandfathered in, let's say, so this doesn't apply to you, couldn't we go back to how the trash was? Couldn't we go back to how public safety was?
That's
And
what I'm
couldn't
asking
we lower the tax rate back down to 2.75 if we didn't need it? The only thing that's not reversible is the street, right now, is the street lights on the A&Y for safety. So, and parking lots. So other than that, if we find out we don't need to do all that, you know, I guess the question is, are we willing to risk doing nothing and seeing what happens, or are we willing to take some steps to make sure we're compliant, and then if it didn't matter and we didn't need to, maybe we can go back to how it was, because none of us want to raise taxes.
But we are compliant right now.
But because of 801, we are where we are, and so we're not willing to risk taking a chance and do nothing. We would prefer to be proactive, and if it ends up that we didn't need to be, then maybe we can go back to it.
We also haven't even thought about or discussed the rate of inflation. It's like going to the grocery store. If I always spend $100, today I can't get the same amount of groceries for $100. Everything's going up. All of our expenses are going up. Whatever it is, cleaning supplies to ball fields stuff to whatever, heating, electricity, IT funding, all of our expenses are going up, and we have not moved the mark at all to cover those expenses. And that's why over the past, and you'll have to help me with the number of years, we have been dipping into our fund balance, and that is not the way to operate a town, to keep dipping into that to cover operating expenses.
Yeah, we realize that.
Mr. Wendell?
Just an opinion. The HB 801 is driving this whole conversation, and I think we all understand that. And to put it simplistic is, it sounds like, and it's evident to me, we're playing a chess match with Raleigh right now. I get it. We're moving this, we're moving that, and Raleigh is observing or will observe whatever is approved to see what direction the town of Summerfield is willing to go. And really, that's all I wanted to say. We're in a chess match right now. And well, like Janelle just said, and I get that, you know, if for some reason things change, of course it depends who's on the council. If they want to reverse anything, you know how that can happen or not happen. But that's all I really want to say. This is HB 801 turned everything upside down because of the fear of losing the charter. And if for some reason Raleigh did what they did with the de-annexation that went on for a long time, before any new council came in, all the disagreements, they are unpredictable. They're unpredictable. So I think it's really important that, and I think it's, from what I'm hearing, everybody's understanding is what's going on here. But that's all I want to say.
Well, thank all of you for coming.
I think one of the council on the phone.
Yeah, and I,
Oh, okay.
you can let them speak first, I'm not done yet.
Peter,
One of you guys have something to say on the dial-in?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Clay?
I think that what Bill said about our costs over the past decade and aligning with inflation is something that we are considering. I think it's a very good point. And Janelle, you summarized that very well. There is some things that town Summerfield can be flexible and somewhat reversible. But at what risk do we not want to move forward with the decisions in front of us? So really good point, Janelle, and I'll align with what you said.
Okay.
Okay,
You ready?
so I'll go back to my inflation, and I found my number. So we were told at the last meeting that from 2014 to 2025, we have not, and this is considered, raising taxes from 2.75 to 5 cents. And the inflation rate has increased at to the number of 28.7%. So there has been no adjustment on our end for that and for the increased costs. Also, I believe that at this point in time, we actually have other services that we do for our town. We have the whole Parks and Rec arm of our town. We have the maintenance department in our town. Those things are services. Our citizens are getting more. We are running that now where we're, are we at an even basis or have we passed that mark?
Maintenance,
Yes, sir.
we're actually in the positive.
We're in the, okay, thank you. We're in the positive on the maintenance department. So we are giving citizen services, but those two services are not on that list of the 4 of 8. But we are giving back to the town.
Okay. Well, thank you all for a very lively discussion. Appreciate your input. Ms. Dunn, last one.
The elephant in the room are these 3 capital projects. You haven't told us what you're doing. We have no estimates of cost. That's the biggest thing. What are you doing? I mean, what kind of, we don't know where you're going to go with what. I mean, all this is secret, and we should know what it's going to cost. Are there options that maybe we could consider?
Thank you. Well, that said, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that we adjourn at 7:52.
Thank you. Have a motion. Have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank all of you for being here tonight.
Yeah, big turnout.